All right, what's going on, everybody? What's up? This your girl Tiffany. I'm here live in effect. May peace and power elevation be to all of you. So today's topic, I am going to deal with the history of hookahs. Yes, so I know there was something that was kind of random, and I just figured that I decided to go ahead and do one because people need to know what they smoking on, right? So that's very important. Peace, brother. Peace, peace, peace. Peace to those of you out there. So I think that it's very important that we need to know about hookah, its size fat. So this topic is really dealing with health per se. And, and so we're going to go ahead and get started. So let's get into it. All right. All right. So for those of you that don't know what a hookah look like, this is a hookah. Okay. It's a pipe. So a hookah is a pipe that people smoke, and usually what's inside the hookah is like okay, on the bottom it's the water that's inside of it. It just holds it evaporates, so that way it will give a better smoke. So like when you hit in the pipe, the water starts to boil, and once the water boil, then you can be able to let out the smoke out your mouth. And then once you let the smoke out, it allows you to smoke better, so it keeps it warm. It keeps the what you call it warm, which is the charcoal and everything. So yeah, so it's a pipe that you smoke. It consists of water, and then like there's different flavors that you can use, right? Typically fruity flavors, anything like strawberry, watermelon, whatever. And it does have tobacco mixed inside of it too. So, and you will see people smoking it at the bars, at restaurants, or some people buy it at home and do it themselves. They, like put their own hookah. I mean, when they have their little own event, they'll, put their little hookah together, and, they'll smoke on it. So people smoke it for different reasons. But let's go ahead and get into the history and the origin behind it. All right. So right here, let's look at the history of the hookah. So a hookah, also known as quillan or shisha, is a single or multi-stem instrument for either heating or vaporizing and smoking tobacco, flavored tobacco, or sometimes cannabis, which is marijuana. Was it hashi, and in the past opium, whose vapor is passed through a water basin, often glass based, before inhalation. All right. It says health risks of smoking through a hookah include exposure to toxic chemicals that are not filtered out by the water, and risk of infectious disease when hookahs are shared. Now, there are two theories regarding the origin of the hookah. The first is that following the introduction of tobacco to medieval India by the Jesuits, and since then tobacco use became widespread. The hookah or water pipe was invented by Abu Fadlani, a Persian physician of Akbar, in the Indian city of Fatehpur Sikri during Mughal India. The hookah spread from the Indian subcontinent to Persia first, where the mechanism was modified to its current shape, and then to the Near East. Alternatively, it could originate in the Safavid dynasty of Persia, from where it eventually spread to the east into the Indian subcontinent during that time. So the invention of hookah was started by a Persian guy named Abu Fadlani, and it sounds like he's Muslim. But anyways, that's where the hookah came from. It came from the Middle East region. Okay, and that's where it was first invented. So now let's go down and let's see what else we can find. It says despite tobacco and drug use being considered a taboo. When the hookah was first conceived, its use became increasingly popular among nobility and subsequently widely accepted. Gradually, burned tobacco has been commonly replaced by vaporizing flavored shisha. Still, the original hookah is often used in the rural South Asia, which continues to use tumbak, a pure and pure and coarse form of unflavored tobacco leaves, and smoked by burning it directly with charcoal. While this method delivers a much higher content of tobacco and nicotine, it also imposes more adverse health effects compared to vaporized shisha hookahs. Now, the origin of the word hookah, let's look up the etymology. Okay. So in the Indian subcontinent, Hindustani word hookah is used and is the origin of the English word hookah. The widespread use of the Indian word hookah in the English language is a result of colonization in British India, when large numbers of expatriated Britons first sampled the water pipe. William Hickey, shortly after arriving in Calcutta, India in 1775, wrote this in his memoir. The most highly dressed and splendid hookah was prepared for me. I tried it, but did not like it. After several trials, I still found it disagreeable. I with much gravity request to know whether it was indispensably necessary that I should become a smoker, which was answered with equal gravity. Undoubtedly it is, for you might as well be out the world as out of the fashion. Here everybody uses a hookah and it is impossible to get on without. Have frequently heard men declare they would much rather be deprived of their dinner than their hookah. Hmm, that's interesting. So during that time period, the hookah was like the cigarette, the cigar. It was like the marijuana. So it was a big thing in the ancient time to smoke a hookah. You know what I'm saying? It was a big thing because it was like a gathering. It was something that brought people together. It's no different than, you might have some homeboys or homegirls sitting around you smoking weed with them. You know what I'm saying? Y'all passing a blunt together. That's what they did with the hookah. They passed the hookah around. You know what I'm saying? It was part of a social gathering. So let's see what else we can find. I'm gonna have to skip down some. Okay, so let's actually go into the history, deep into the history. All right. It says in the Indian city of Fatehpur. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Let me go back. There we go. Okay, in the city of Fatehpur, security, Roman Catholic missionaries of the Society of Jesus arriving from. Why I keep doing that? I don't know. Okay, let's go back to what I was stating. All right. So it says in the Indian city of Fatehpur, security, Roman Catholic missionaries of the Society of Jesus arriving from the southern part of the country introduced tobacco to the Mongol Emperor Akbar the Great. Louis Roselet writes, the physician of Akbar, Hakim Abul Fatum Galani, then invented the hookah in India. However, a quatrain of Ahil Shirazi, a Persian poet, refers to use of the Galayan, thus dating its use at least as early as the time of the Shah Tamaz I. It seems therefore that Abu Fat Galani should be credited with the introduction of the Galayan, already in use in Persia, into India. There is, however, no evidence of the existence of the water pipe until the 1560s. Moreover, tobacco is believed to have arrived in India in the 17th century. Until then, cannabis was smoked in India, so that suggests another substance was probably smoked in Al-Hil, Shirazi, a Quatran, perhaps through some other method. And it says, following the European introduction of tobacco to Persia and India, Hakim Abul Fath Gilani, who came from Gilan, a province in north of Persia, migrated to Hammurashtan. He later became a physician in Mughal court and raised health concerns after smoking tobacco became popular among Indian noblemen. He subsequently envisages a system that allowed smoke to be passed through water in order to be purified, right? Galani introduced the Gayan after Asad Beg, the ambassador of Bijapur, encouraged Akbar I to take up smoking. Following popularity among noblemen, this new device for smoking soon became a status symbol for Indian aristocracy and gentry. So the reason for him to invent that, because I guess based on the article, based on the source, it's supposed to help reduce the amount of health issues that was taking place regarding to those who were smoking, who was smoking herbs or tobacco, etc. So that was his way of helping to reduce that. So, and then plus it was not really smoked by everybody. It was mainly smoked amongst those who was in a noble group or in a higher status or hierarchy, right? So that was the main people that was smoking them. So you didn't have a lot of poor people that was smoking on hookahs and all that. That was more so for noble men in India and the Persian area. All right. So now let's go down here to where it says culture. Okay. So India. The concept of hookah is thought to have originated in medieval India. Once the province of wealthy was tremendously popular, especially during Mughal rule, the hookah has since become less popular. However, it is once again garnering the attention of the masses, and cafes and restaurants that offer it as a consumable are popular. The use of hookahs from ancient time in India was not only a custom but a manner of prestige. Rich and landed classes would smoke hookahs. Again, it was a matter of prestige. It was the rich and those who were also in the upper class area. They were the ones that smoked it. Okay? So it was a custom. And it says tobacco is smoked in hookahs in many villages as per traditional custom. Smoking tobacco molasses is now becoming popular among the youth in India. There are several chain clubs, bars, and coffee shops in India offering a wider variety of muasso, including a non-tobacco version. Hookah was recently banned in Bangalore. However, it can be bought and rented for personal usage or organized parties. Okay, and it says Kolilandi, a small fishing town on the west coast of India, once made and explored hookahs extensively. These are known as Malabar hookahs or Kolilandi hookahs. Today, these intricate hookahs are difficult to find outside of Kolilandi and are becoming difficult even to find in Kolilandi in itself. As hookahs resurges in India, there have been numerous raids and bans recently on hookah smoking, especially in Gujarat. Now let's look in Pakistan. Now it says here, although it has been traditionally prevalent in rural areas for generations, smoking hookahs has become very popular in its cosmopolitan cities of Pakistan. One can see many cafes in Pakistan offering hookah smoking to its guests. Many households even have hookahs for smoking or decoration purposes. In Punjab, I'm not going to try to pronounce this word right here, and in northern Bolocris- Bolocrastian, the topmost part on which coals are placed, is called chilim. In big cities like Karachi and Lahore, cafes and restaurants offer hookah and charge per hour. In 2013, it was banned by the Pakistani Supreme Court. The cafe owners started offering shisha to minors, which was the major reason for the ban. Yeah. So, as you can see, there were some parts of the country that hookah was banned because of not only that side effects, but because there were some places, restaurants, and bars that was giving other tobacco products to minors. So that's what causes the countries to say, okay, we're gonna have to ban this altogether. But to this day, people still smoking on it. And there's nothing you can really do to stop it. So now let's look at this. As you can see, it was very prevalent in the Middle East. So let's look one more at Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh, the hookah has been a traditional smoking instrument in Bangladesh, particularly among the old Bengali Muslim Zamadar gentry. However, flavored shisha was introduced in the early 2000s. Hookahs lounge spread quite quickly between 2008 and 2011 in urban areas and became popular among young people as well as middle-aged people. As a relaxation method, there has been allegation of government crackdown on hookah bars to prevent illegal or illicit drug usage. The hookah is also an electoral symbol for a candidate used first in the 1973 Bangladeshi general election. In the biography of Mount Stewart Alphenstone, it is mentioned that James Achilles Kirkpatrick had a hookah bardar, a hookah servant preparer during his time in the Indian subcontinent. Kirkpatrick's hookah servant is said to have robbed and cheated Kirkpatrick, making his way to England and stylizing himself as Prince Sahid. The man presumably a Shahiti origin was waited upon by the Prime Minister of Great Britain, William Pitt the Younger, and then dined with the Duke of York before presenting himself in front of George III. All right. So that's an interesting history. So let's see. Okay, so let's look down at Persia real quick. So as you can see, there go that Persian woman right there. Let me pull it up. There's a Persian woman smoking on that hookah. All right. So it said the exact date of the first use of the Gayan in Persia is not known. However, the earliest known literary evidence of the hookah anywhere comes in a quatrain by Ahil Shirazi, a Persian poet, referred to the use of the Gayan. This dating its use at least as early as the time of the Shah Tamas the first. This suggests the hookah was already in use ancient Persia and made its way into India soon afterwards. Okay. So it said, although Shafavid Shah Abbas the first strongly condemned tobacco use towards the end of his reign, smoking Gayan and Kopuk had become common on every level of society, women included. In schools, both teachers and students had Gayans while lessons continued. Shah Sharif of Persia declared a complete ban on tobacco, but the income received from its use persuaded him to soon revoke the ban. The use of Gayans became so widespread that a group of poor people became professional tinkers of crystal water pipes. During the time of Abbas II of Persia, use of the water pipe had become a national addition. The Shah had his own private Guyane servant. Evidently, the position of water pipe tender dates from this time. Also, at this time, reservoir were reservoirs were made of glass, pottery, or a type of gourd. Because of the unsatisfactory quality of indigenous glass reservoirs were sometimes imported from Venice in the time of Suleiman I of Persia. The Galileans became more elaborate, embellished as their use increased. The wealthy owned gold and silver pipes. The masses spent more on Guyans than they did on the necessities of life. So they were smoking their life away, huh? An emissary of Sultan Hassan or Hassani, what's it, Sultan Hassan or Husan to the court of Louis. I'm assuming that's Louis the Seventh of France on his way to the royal audience at Versailles had in his retinue an officer holding his gayan, which he used while his carriage was in motion. We have no record indicating the use of the galleon at the court of Nadar Shah, although its use seems to have continued uninterrupted. There are portraits of Karim Khan of Zand dynasty of Iran and Fath al-Shahad Qajar that depict them smoking the Gayan. Iranians have a special tobacco called Kansar, presumably the name of the origin city Kanzar. The charcoals would be put on the Kanzar without foil. All right. So that's an interesting history. So now it talks about here on this article where it was also used in Africa. So let's look at how they were using it in Kenya and South Africa. All right, so in Kenya, the hookah is called shishi or shisha. They are officially banned in the country. Despite this, many clubs still continue to defy the law, and hookah smoking goes on in urban areas. So, as of today, hookahs are banned in Kenya, but they still smoking in the bars. They still smoking in the neighborhoods, but it's technically banned. Now let's see. In South Africa, hookah, colloquially known as hubby bubbly or oka pipe, is popular among the Cape, Malay, and Indian population, wherein it is smoked as a social pastime. However, hookah is seeing increasing popularity with South Africans, especially the youth. Bars that additionally provide hookahs are becoming more prominent, although smoking is normally done at home or in public spaces such as beaches and picnic sites. In South Africa, the terminology of the various hookah components also differ from other countries. The clay headboard is known as clay pots. The hoses are called pipes, and the air release uh, valve is known as clutch. The windscreen, which is considered optional and not used by most people, is also known as in Aja, which directly translate from Afrikaans to English as Ajjacket. Also, making preparing the clay pot is commonly referred to as racking hubbly. Some scientists point to the marijuana pipe as an African origin of hookah. So it's pretty unique in South Africa how they smoke on the hookah. So it's not so much of there's no ban on it like it is in other countries. In fact, it seems like it's pretty legal to smoke. But yeah, let's see what else we can find on here about this hookah. So let's see how it got to the United States and Canada. Okay, there we go. Okay, so United States and Canada. Let's talk about the hookah. How did we start smoking on the hookah here in America? During the 1960s and 1970s, hookahs were a popular tool for consumption of various de- derivations of tobacco, among other things. At parties or small gatherings, the hookah hose was passed around with users partaking as they saw fit. Typically, though, open flames were used instead of burning coals. Today, hookahs are readily available for sale at smoking shops and some gas stations across the United States, along with a variety of tobacco brands and accessories. In addition to private hookah lounges or bars have opened in cities across the country. Recently, certain cities, counties, and states have implemented indoor smoking bans. In some jurisdictions, hookah businesses can be exempt from the policy through special permits. Some permits, however, have requirements such as the business earning a certain minimum percentage of their revenue from alcohol or tobacco. Okay. In cities with indoor smoking ban, hookah bars have been forced to close or switch to tobacco-free mixtures. In many cities, though, hookah lounges have been growing in popularity from the year 2000 to 2004. Over 200 new hookahs cafes open for business, most of them target at young adults and located near college campuses or cities with large Middle Eastern communities. This activity continues to gain popularity within the post-secondary students demographic. Hookah use among high school students declined from 9.4% to 3.4% from 2014 to 2019, while cigarette smoking decreased from 9.2% to 5.8% during this same time period, according to the US CDC. According to a 2018 study, 1.1% of students with some college but no degree, an associate degree, or an undergraduate degree reported water pipe or pipe tobacco product use either every day or some days. As of November 2017, at least 2,082 college or university campuses in the United States have adopted 100% smoke-free campus policy that attempt to eliminate smoking indoor and outdoor areas across the entire campus, including residency. Okay. So now, right here, it shows the bowl. All right. So right here is showing how hookahs are made. So let me pull the screen up. So that's the bowl, and then the windscreen, the hose, all right, and the purge of valve, water base, and plates. All right. So okay, so here's a picture of two guys making the hookahs. All right, that's the pictures. Okay, let me see what else. All right, so let's go down to the health effects real quick. All right. So exposure to pathogens that causes infectious disease. When people share a hookah, there is a risk of spreading infectious disease such as oral herpes, tuberculosis, hepatitis, influenza, H. pylori. Using personal disposable mouthpieces may reduce this risk, but does not eliminate it. Okay. So it says exposure to toxic chemicals. Hookah smoke contains multiple toxic chemicals. Water does not filter out many of these chemicals. Hookah smoke contains toxic chemical that comes from the burning of coal, tobacco, and flavorings. Hookah smokers inhale many chemicals that can cause cancer. Yeah, that can cause cancer, heart disease, lung disease, and other health problems. These chemicals include tobacco-specific uh, nitrosamides, polycyclistic, uh, aromatic hydrocarbons, uh, was it volatile aldehydes, or aldehydes, uh, benzenides, nitric oxides, heavy metal. Hookah smoking increased the amount of carbon monoxide in a person's body to 8 times their normal level. Compared to smoking one cigarette, a single hookah session exposes users to more carbon monoxide, PAH, similar levels of nicotine, and lower levels of tobacco-specific nitrosamides, or however you say it. Because of inhaling these chemicals, hookah smokers are at increased risk of many of the same health problems as cigarette smokers. So basically, just like smoking on a cigarette, right, can increases cancer or can cause cancer, heart disease, lung disease. Same way with smoking on a hookah. It can cause lung disease, it can cause cancer. And if you're sharing a hookah, you can catch some type of infectious disease, okay, because you're sharing it with other people. That's why it's safe to get your own shit and put your own little pipe on it and smoke it. Now, let's look down the short-term health effects, etc. It says carbon monoxide in hookah smoke binds to hemoglobin in the blood to form carboxyl hemoglobin, which reduces the amount of oxygen that can be transported to organs, including the brain. There are several cases reported in the medical literature of hookah smokers needed treatment in hospital emergency rooms for a symptom of CO poisoning, including headaches, nausea, lethargy, lethargy, and fainting. This is sometimes called hookah sickness. Hookah smoking can damage the cardiovascular system in several ways. Its use elevates heart rate and blood pressure. It also impairs baroreflex control, which helps to control blood pressure, and cardiac autonomic functioning, which has many purposes, including control of the heart rate. Hookah use also acutely harms vascular functioning, increase inflammation, and harms lung function and reduce the ability to exercise. Wow. And then you got the long-term health effects. Current evidence indicates hookah may causes numerous health problems. Hookah smoking appears to increase the risk of several cancer, lung, esophageal, and gastric, pulmonary diseases, impaired pulmonary function, chronic bronchitis, and emphysema, uh, coronary artery disease, periodontal disease, obst- obstetrical and perinatal problems, low birth weight, and pulmonary problems at birth, larynx and voice changes. Yes, and I witnessed people voices change. Speaking of voice changes and larynx, right? I witnessed that myself. I witnessed people who do a lot of smoking. Their voice started to change. Their voice become raspier, and they start to lose start to lose that tone they had before, and it's almost sound like it's if they're totally losing their voice. So yes, smoking does affect the vocal cord to the point that it becomes damaged to where you're not able to speak. So that's one of the reasons why smoking is not really safe. That's one of the main reasons why. But let's go back to the article. What else? Many of the studies to date have methodological limitations such as not measuring hookah use in standardized ways. Larger, higher quality studies are needed to learn more about the long-term health effects of hookah use of exposure to hookah smoke. All right. So, yeah, so those are the health effects. And that's the history of hookah. Let's see what else we can find. So, if you want to know any more references, you can find it right here at the bottom of the page, right here. So that's the reference. Let me pull it up. So you can look it up for yourself, find out more information right here. So I got it off the Wikipedia website. This is where I got the information from. Okay. So let's see what else we can find about the hookah. All right. So here's another source right here. It says hookah background history and health consequences. Let me blow that up. Hookah is a water pipe that is used to smoke indirectly heated using coals or water embers. Hookah is also known as shisha, nagao, and hubbly bubbly. All right. So, and then the question is smoking hookah safer than smoking cigarettes? No, many people wrongly believe that smoking hookah is safer than smoking cigarettes. This is not true. Unlike cigarette smoke, hookah smoke is cooled by water. This cooling makes hookah smoke feel less harsh on the throat and lungs than cigarette smoke. Even though it feels less harsh, the smoke is equally as harmful as cigarette smoke. In fact, the cooling effect might make it easier to inhale the smoke more deeply into the lungs, which could cause more damage. Nearly 1 in 4 of 18 and 24-year-olds in Minnesota wrongly believe that hookah is safer than cigarettes. Much of this misperception is likely due to the way hookah is marketed. So, in other words, hookahs are not as safe as you think, okay? It may feel like it's safe because it's a lot easier for you to inhale and exhale versus putting a cigarette stick in your mouth. But at the end of the day, it still has the same effect as cigarettes. So, because that's where you're smoking on the nicotine, right? You smoking on the tobacco. You know what I'm saying? So it's no different, really. Basically, so you're not really on the safe side as you think. But yeah, there's this article again that goes into the health effects about hookahs and stuff like that. So as you can see right down here, there's the picture. Let's see what else we can find. All right, so this came out April of 2013. It's called the Hookah Background History and Health Consequences Project Watch. So, yep, that's it. All right, now let's go ahead and look at another article. And this is the last article. All right, so this article here is called, this article comes from ScienceDirect.com, and it's called Hookah, Is It Really Harmless? Because many of us think that because we're smoking on the hookah, that it's supposed to be not as harmful. So let's see what this article is talking about, okay? Regard to the hookahs. So the introduction, as you can see, the hookah, also known as shisha, is a snuff smoking device created in the Indo-Pakistani subcontinent in the in the I don't know, I guess that must be the 17th or 15th century. Its use represent a tradition that seeks to community interaction, although it was considered a pleasure for the Raja. Okay, so it says it has been widely used in Middle East, recent decades, etc. So right here it says recent publications show that unlike cigarette, the hookah is more socially acceptable. For that reason, fewer awareness campaigns with the objective to inform the public about the addictive and harmful to health exists, which is because the hookah use among young people, mainly women, has increased substantially in the recent years. Furthermore, it has been seen that user hookahs tend to become cigarette smokers. So they graduate from smoking hookah to become a cigarette smoker. All right, and it says the World Health Organization has reported that hookah smoked and held per puff is 0.15 to 1. I don't know what that little symbol is right there. I don't know if that's LT or what. And average hookah session lasts 20 to 80 minutes. This is the equivalent of smoking 100 cigarettes or more. Currently, there are sources available online that allow us to calculate this equivalence. The aim of this review is to present the most important complications and association of the use of hookah from a critical and clinical perspective. All right. Now it goes into the hookah and the lungs. It says it has been shown that there is a significant differences between HS and no hookah smokers in relation to free radical levels and neutrophils, peripheral blood samples being elevated in hookah smokers. This conditions a damage to the lungs, parenchyma, and cause airway inflammation. Okay. Now it goes on to say that Raid, through a meta-analysis that analyzed several studies that evaluate lung function in cigarette smokers and hookah smokers and non-smokers, found that among cigarette smokers and hookah smokers there is not a significant difference in spirometric tests, unlike what was found between the hookah smokers and non-smokers, which found that there is a significant differences, which there was a decrease from 4.04% in FEV to 1.38% in FVC, and the relationship the FEV and the FVC decreased in 3.08%. This suggests that hookah use is a risk factor for obstructive pattern. This fact agrees with the other authors mentioned, which highlights Chaud Shachi, who reported that the chronic use of hookah with a frequency of one or more hookah session per day can lead to COPD. Okay, so as you can see, that according to this article, they found that there's really no difference between those who smoke hookahs and cigarettes. Okay, there's really no significant difference. And they also found that hookah can lead to COPD. So for those who don't know, COPD, that's chronic. That's a chronic disease, basically. So that affects the lung, and it also affects the person's breathing patterns. So yeah, and that's something serious. It's like a bronchitis, like a serious bronchitis and lung disease. So, and having COPD is nothing fun. It's nothing fun about it because you have to take multiple medication, and then you have to make sure you're not around a lot of smoke all day. And then if you end up coughing too much, you have to go back and forth to the hospital. right, to get your lungs checked and make sure that your lungs is functioning okay and that it's not too bad to the point that you have to end up being on the machine on some type of oxygen tank, and etc. So yeah, it's not fun being on a COPD because it can lead to the point where you can be on an oxygen tank and you relying on that tank for your breathing. So anyhow, so I'm gonna read one more thing and then I'm gonna get off of here. So okay, hookah and cancer. All right, check this out. In a study conducted by the Pakistan by Shahid et al., in which was measured the level of carcinoembryonic oxygen in 36 non-smoker male and 59 hookah smokers who had smoked at least 8 years. They were divided into groups according to how long have been smoking. It concluded that there is an elevation of 5.11 of the CEA in those who smoke 2 to 6 hours per day. This ratio significantly relates to the non-group of smokers. This is of great relevance due to the fact that the elevation of CEA is a marker of malignancy as well as chronic inflammation. It has been observed that CEA is elevated in pancreatic, uterus, breast, and lung cancer. All right, so before I continue on, right, out of curiosity, the CEA is carcinoembryonic antigen. All right, so let's look that up real fast. Okay, so let's look up what that is real quick. All right. So I'm right here on the ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. Okay, it's a health website. So let's look up what carcinoembryonic antigen is. All right, it is an oncofetal glycoprotein that is normally expressed by mucosal cells. It is overexpressed by a variety of malignancies, although it is commonly associated with colorectal cancer. It can also be elevated into other malignancies such as breast, liver, stomach, and pancreas. However, there are a number of benign conditions that may lead to elevation in serum CEA level, including cigarette smoking, pancreatitis, biliary obstruction, peptic ulcer disease, and hypothyroidism, but the extent of elevation is substantially less, and it is rare to see an elevation of 10 or less than 10 ng/ml in this contents. All right. So, as we know, there is some form of allergens that can cause serious cancers. It can cause a issue in one breast. It can cause one to develop lung cancer. It can cause people to have liver cancer. So yeah, that's how serious it is. So getting back to the article, yeah. So yes, that's the information about the hookah. So right here, as you can see, you can check it out on sciencedirect.com. And this came out in 2014, Respiratory Medicine. Hookah, is it really harmless? All right. So there's all the information. That's the table of contents, etc. So, yep. Oh, let's look down what says hookah and pregnancy. Let's find that. Let's look that down real fast. Okay. So the harmful effects of hookah during pregnancy have been known for a long time. Nuwaid et al. Reported a reduction of 100 grams relative to the average adjusted in infants born of women who smoke one or more hookah sessions a day during the first trimester of pregnancy. This fact is consistent with that reported by Algamali et al., or however you say it, who showed that the use of hookah during pregnancy is a risk factor for intro intrauterine fetal growth reduction with a risk of 3.5, manifests with low weight, low agar score, and respiratory failure at birth. This is due to maternal exposure to carbon monoxide during pregnancy. Additionally, it have been linked the use of hookah with premature labor, placental disruption, malformation, prenatal complication. Also has been associated in increased risk of genetic disorder in children of hookah smoking mothers. All right, so even if you are pregnant, it still ain't safe for you to smoke a hookah. So basically, so with that being said, that's the information on hookahs. This was something random. So again, this was more like a health information and historical information. So as we can see that the hookahs are used for social gathering and interaction, but it comes with a lot of health risks. So you're really not safe when you're smoking hookah, technically. You're not. So it's just like you smoking cigarette on the water pipe. Basically, that's what it is. Or it's just like you smoking marijuana on the water pipe. So yeah. So it carries a lot of long terms and short terms effect. This is not something that you would do on an everyday basis. Okay, it's not something that you want to sit around and smoke every single day. That's something that you do on a special occasion or something like that, or on a social gathering. But you don't want to do it all the damn time. So, anyways, that concludes the topic for today. As you can see, I was kind of rushing through it. So yeah, but if you want to check out more information, I already put up the source for you so you can look it up for yourself. Anyways, I gotta get going, but I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful afternoon, or whatever your time zone may be. And I will reconnect with you guys later. So thank you so much for tuning in. And with that being said, may peace and power elevation be to all of you. And y'all have a great one. All right. Take it easy. Deuces. All right.